Castle, if Castle does. Got some Subnautica going on. More model placement. Getting some more stuff in place. Trying out the different materials. At this point in time, okay, so there's the models that I've created and what they're being used for right now and everything like that. Um, I'm waiting for someone to, and this doesn't happen until a little bit later after this, to create a proper material that will actually have like cap, triplanar, and I've mentioned this in the past. So I continually kind of mess around with the models to find something that's temporary that looks okay. Because I think during one of the playtests they're like, what happened to these rocks? They don't look right, you know. So I try to find at least something that's temporary that works. And I find like this sort of weird sandstone-ish bleh, and it doesn't look nearly as good as the actual material. But I kept kind of messing around, maybe trying to find something that looks right. Uh, yeah. You know, and one of the bits of feedback that we got from playtesters after that, after a while, was that the terrain, everything about the terrain is sort of smooth and round, and that's maybe something I should have tried to do is more jaggy shapes that would be done with the models. The model thing, I ended up after this day, I pretty much shelved the idea of really doing much more with the models until I got more further support. Um, I start thinking more and more about the gameplay, and also too, generally just fixing a lot of the game, the random bugs and like floating models and all that kind of stuff. So at this point in time, I am just now actually starting to kind of like communicate with the rest of the team and sort of take ownership a little bit more about organizing the mass fixing of bugs and addressing the most major issues that I sort of have been seeing about the game. Uh, but at this point in time, I'm kind of just having fun with the art and making this area look neat. I do this for a little bit longer, but at the same time, there's something else going on in the back burner where a lot of the communication and things of that nature are starting to come into play. So one of the things I want to make sure I do is start fixing like random bugs. I do that, um, but at a later point I realize, you know, how am I going to work on gameplay stuff if other designers are working in the same area? So then one of the features I start thinking about at this point is how can we allow more than one person to work in the same area at the same time? So like if I decide at this point right now, the biggest contribution that I can do to the game is to start focusing completely on the gameplay. I'm going to need a way to work with other designers in the same area as them. So I requested um, the separation of gameplay entities as part of the, you know, like when you save everything, that it breaks off gameplay entities is to be a separate file that I can work on as and somebody else can continue making the level look pretty while I'm doing gameplay. Now, this is pretty typical stuff that you do in I don't know, just about every major game engine that I've worked in recent time has this. This is like a very base thing. Right now I'm doing something, I'll get that in a second, but is the ability to allow more than one person working on the same area at the same time, which is Um, Unreal is, you have your separate with Call of Duty, you have prefabs, which allow people to work in the same level at the same time because somebody can work on a broken off part of the game of that level. And on Unreal, it's streams, level streams, and you can have an artist making the level look pretty while you're focused completely on Kismet and gameplay related stuff. We need something along those lines. And it's just a good thing to have. It's always been super useful. Anyway, so what's going on right here, and I'm going off on a random, is one of the things that's been talked about during the playtest is that there wasn't really anything interesting on this island. So I'm adding something that a little bit inspired by Guild Wars 2 is a sort of jumping puzzle. I don't know if it's a good idea yet, but when you get to this island, my feeling is that I want the player to like find this thing and be like, "The hell is this?" And eventually kind of like mess around and realize that they can jump on some parts of it. The only problem so far is that the movement while out of the water leaves something to be desired, which makes a jumping puzzle a little difficult to do. But it still exists, and I managed to do it once. But jumping on those little curvy bits right there, it does all kinds of weird stuff, so I don't know if I like the idea or what right now. Jumping puzzle. Put something like really valuable at the top of that. And like anytime you see an island, I mean this is just sort of a game design thing. I'm just kind of going off. Is that right now this is the only island above water that you really get to see early on that's of any size. And maybe one of the things that we can do is kind of train the player that there'll be these ruins that are just sitting on islands that that have like weird places that you can explore and find on them. So anytime you find an island, it's gonna be like, oh, cool. There's gonna be something there's gonna be something really cool at the top of it. So that's what's going on right now. I tried doing some playtesting on it and realized that the movement is so weird that I had to make some changes, like make the stairs a little bit wider and make it a little bit easier because I don't want it to be too hard. I mean, it's like right in the beginning of the game, but I definitely want it to be an interesting experience. The first time you see something like this, you're just kind of rocking it out, like you're just like, hey, what the hell is that? I want that like feeling of exploration, and also to feel a little bit like maybe it's not what I really meant to do. Like, what is this? Like, how did this get here? What is this weird place? I want to get that sort of wonder and awe from the player. And that's the intention with this. Like, that is just really bizarre, and you completely forget about everything else that was going on for a little while. For like 10 minutes, you're totally focused on this totally strange thing. And maybe if you're good at this kind of stuff, you can put two and two together and realize that maybe there's something really cool at the very top. But you have to get there. But a lot of people might not even figure that out. Anyway, I hope playtesters. I haven't seen any playtesters work with that yet, so I'll have to. I'm gonna get a kick out of seeing how people actually react to this thing. So, well, anyway, thanks for watching.
Have a taste of the world, it's all